Well, good evening. Call the regular meeting of the Ames City Council for Tuesday, August 26th to order. And we're going to get right down to business. And does anyone want to pull any item from consent tonight?
Mayor, I'd like to pull item 12.
Okay. Anything else? Entertain motion to approve consent less item number 12.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Fourier.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
I pulled item 12 simply because after the large community outcry regarding the fireworks that were associated with the pyrotechnics convention in Boone County, I thought it might be worth having the opportunity, if there's anyone here who wanted to complain about fireworks, to be able to have their say. I know every year I put in a good word for limiting some of the late night fireworks, especially on campus, because the South Campus neighborhood experiences very loud booms. And now I think more of the community is maybe aware of what that can entail. So I mostly pulled it just in case there was anyone here who wanted to have input on it.
At the dais,
Yes.
any input?
I love fireworks, and I think they add a lot to the game experience. And I think you're being a good, zealous advocate for those people who have a different opinion. But we invite tens of thousands of people to come to this football game, and this is now almost a standard experience in stadiums across the country. And there's only a handful of home games, but I think we should continue to support this.
Any other feedback?
I'm not necessarily against these particular fireworks because they are earlier in the evening.
Right.
But I also didn't want to be seen to be inconsistent in my stance on fireworks when I start pulling other items later in the year.
All right. Entertain motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Hanson.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Fourier.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, move on to public forum. This is time we set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those on the agenda. If there's anyone who'd like to address council. Before I do that, I'm sorry. I bet there's someone in the audience from Ames High School. Is that right? Okay. I'm sorry I didn't catch you. Your item was on consent. So that means it was approved. You're welcome to stay for the whole meeting. But let's do this. Would you like to talk for a minute about the Ames High School homecoming before we move on to public forum? Introduce yourself, and my apologies, I should have caught you before. So didn't want you sitting there thinking, when are they going to come up to it? So go ahead.
All good. Hi, my name is Sarah Higgins. I'll be a senior this year at the Ames.
Could you get a little closer to the mic, please, Sarah? Thank you.
I'll be a senior this year at Ames High. This is my second year being the homecoming parade co-chair, and this is, I believe, the 73rd year that we've put on the Ames High homecoming parade. I think it's a great tradition. It brings our community together, our high school together. It's just a lot of fun. I know a lot of the kids like doing it. They like seeing all like the big kids because we have cheerleaders, band, lots of clubs. Anybody's allowed into the parade if they sign up for it. So I think it shows a lot of inclusivity within our school and gets kids like all ages, elementary school, middle school, excited for high school. And yeah.
Very good. Sarah, thank you for your efforts. And your item was approved, so you're welcome to stay and listen if you want to. Otherwise, you're free to go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, now we'll go back to public forum. Anyone who want to address council on topics of city business other than those on the agenda? If you'd introduce yourself and try and keep your comments to
Good
3 minutes.
evening.
Thank you.
Hi, Karen Sevdy, Story County Community Foundation. Just wanted to update you on our grants program, what's going on at the foundation. We are a sustainable organization. We're going great guns right now. I'm full-time. Daryl Vagey has moved over to Business Development Director. We've hired Al Weber and Emma McCoskey. And so we're fully staffed up. And we are going into our grant season. This year we'll have about $200,000 for our community grants program. 501c3 organizations are welcome to apply. Applications are are due September 30th. And also government agencies such as your library, fire department, police department, and Parks and Rec. So if there's something out there the city might need, take a look at applying for a grant. You will notice in your handout that I put out in the middle on the insert, what we awarded last year. The Ames Public Library Friends Foundation, that was a county-wide public library initiative put on, encouraged by the supervisors, and that purchased hotspots and tablets for all public libraries in the county. And as you can see, we gave out about $190,000 last year. Called your attention to 2 grants for small businesses, Peace and Freedom Bakery on Main Street and Frozen Gains. Again, we will be doing that this year to 4 small businesses or startup businesses. So I also invite you, this is our 20th year. We will celebrate October 2nd at Ryman Gardens. You are all invited to attend. And we will be announcing a special impact grant of $100,000. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to address council tonight under public forum? Seeing none, we'll close public forum. Move on to item number 25, motion approving, denying an 8-month Class C retail license. Chief?
Good evening.
Good evening.
You may recall on July 22nd, you denied a 12-month renewal application for La Casa Maya based on failing 2 out of 3 compliance checks in the renewal period. Since that time, the restaurant has had all their employees go through the IPAC, or the Iowa Program for Alcohol Compliance online training. And we also put on a training at the restaurant for their employees to do our ID training, which is specific to what we're seeing in the city of Ames. We also go through spotting fake IDs, over-serving, all those kind of things that any kind of liquor licensed establishment may want to know. Based on them completing both of those training sessions, I would recommend they've applied for an 8-month license. So I guess I should explain. The 12-month was denied. They've applied for an 8-month now. So I would recommend that 8-month license. Based on that, gives us a shorter period of time to make sure that these changes that they've made will stick. And if there are any issues, we can certainly bring that to you at any point if there are serious violations of our alcoholic beverage code. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions?
Chief, I think in July, we heard that the business owner was concerned that training needed to be offered in Spanish as well as English.
Yep.
Were we able to accommodate that request?
Yep, one of our officers that does our ID training is bilingual and was able to provide the training in both English and Spanish.
Any other questions? All right, we'll open up public comment. Is there anyone who wants to address council on this topic tonight? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Any further questions or discussion? Otherwise, entertain a motion.
I'll move alternative 1 to approve the application for a 6-month license.
8-month.
I'm sorry, 8-month.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Rollins.
Aye.
Poirier.
Aye.
Barton.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Very good. Move on to number 26, request from ISG Research Park to initiate zoning text amendment. Kelly.
Good evening. So we have a staff report for you in response to a referral request. The research park is looking at citing a new use that does ag equipment research. And through our preliminary review process, they looked through a site plan and looked at an area on the site that they thought they would like to be excluded from our paving requirements. And we talk about, in general, we require all vehicle parking maneuver areas to be paved. There's exceptions for like the storage of construction equipment, a couple other minor things, but most areas on a site plan are required to be paved. So that led to the research park, after reviewing a concept with us, requesting a text amendment to find a way to exclude areas that would be used primarily for ag equipment maneuvering, even though other vehicles or something might also travel on that are parked on it, but primarily for ag equipment, to be able to be excluded. So we gave you a couple of options. You could look at this as a research park issue. You could look at this as a zoning board of adjustment issue and maybe have a broader application. We have at times had other requests. No one else has requested a change from the council. I think it's a balancing issue overall. Some sites it may work fine depending on the site size, the type of use, but in other cases, it might be more of a noxious kind of activity to not have a paved area. So I think we're looking, the research park is looking for direction to be able to apply for a text amendment. If so, staff is asking for direction on what the scope of such an amendment should be.
Questions for Kelly?
Kelly, what is the applicant's best outcome? What are they wanting to see?
I think they would take any of the three options that are presented. Almost all applicants would prefer to just work with staff and not have a hearing process. But I think any option where they can present their case to say that their plans would be able to be approved with a rock surface for parts of the site over paving would work for them.
Kelly, do we have any site plan that would show us how much of the site might be this maneuvering area?
I do not. They're looking at it's the property they're looking at is the one that's being annexed. It's about, I think, roughly 35 acres. It's a mix of a standard building, regular parking, and then some storage areas, outbuildings with maneuvering area between them. But I don't have an actual site plan yet to walk through what that would mean.
And do we anticipate that there might be other industrial users who might make a request that's similar to this in the future?
I think I referenced this in the report. I think the Wiffle Seed Company out east, they've had various conversations about a second phase of development. And they had some truck loading areas during the harvest that they would typically be required to pave that they wish or would probably prefer not to have to pave. Again, they never came forward with a request, nor have we approved their final plan. So on occasion, there's a couple of other users that might have similar uses that would like to be able to take advantage of that.
Other questions?
Kelly, is there any chance that the area of the research park, because that about some neighborhood, that there might be in the future another proposal that might impact the neighborhood, a neighborhood itself?
I think most of the research park is really not adjacent to neighborhoods. We do have some plans on the west side of University for some additional residential. Most of that area is already developed. It's immediately across the street. So the site that they're annexing is further south, and there's no particular residential development expected or planned in that area.
Okay, thank you.
Now, with that said, the amendment is for the research park. I don't think those developed parcels would ever change over. And there's not really, I'm just trying to think that question through. I really don't think there's a lot of adjacency issues with the existing research park.
Okay.
Other questions? And the reason can you explain the reason why paving is recommended or required?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of important reasons that most cities require paving, especially as you get larger. It does make a more compatible environment. It does mitigate dust, noise, especially track out onto public streets. Those are things we all want to control. And then just from an administration of zoning regulations, paving's defined. It doesn't move. When you don't require paving, uses of sites evolve, take out landscaping, and just things kind of seem to spread over time. So there's a little bit of a benefit from logistical management of a site, but then the real benefit is the physical conditions are generally more compatible than what gravel would be, or in this case, more of a rock surface probably.
All right, any other questions? Open up public input. Does anyone want to address council on this topic tonight? Seeing none, close public comment. Discussion?
I think the mayor makes a good point. I generally favor paving our roads, so that would tend to make me want to have a more narrow application of this. And so I think alternative one provides that. Just for conversation purposes, I'll move alternative one.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, I was going to say, I actually think that alternative 3 maybe makes more sense because of the ZBA involvement and the ability to assess individual components. If we have another industrial user coming to us in the future, we have to go through this process all over again. And I cannot anticipate somebody else not asking for this kind of exception if we grant the research park maneuvering area exception. And so I'm just thinking that number 3 is going to offer control of the discussion in terms of individual site circumstances, but also help to ensure we aren't going to have to, or another future council isn't going to have to return to the same issue, but for a different set of users.
But option 1 is just research park. Option 3
Yes.
is citywide.
Yes. I know that might sound like it's expanding it, but if we grant the exception for the research park, if I were an industrial user and I saw that the research park was getting this exception, I would be coming to council asking for that exception for my business as well. And so this is where I am. I'm just thinking that, ZBA would be involved and they would be assessing individual circumstances to ensure that the conditions of the site were compatible with what's surrounding them. That is my logic, which may not be the same logic that the others are applying up here.
Okay. Any other comments?
I mean, what you suggest may happen. And we can always revisit it. I mean, this conversation is taking us 5 minutes. I mean, we can always come back later, but it seems like we should do the narrow thing, see how this works out. And then if there are other requests, then we could always put a fresh set of eyes on that. But I'd rather keep this narrow for right now.
Okay. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
I'm voting in favor of
Okay,
it.
sorry.
It's clear it's going to
And I voted
pass.
You
But
Brahma,
I was not.
okay.
I mean, I was
Vote passed 4-1. Thank you. Okay. All right, thank you. We'll move on to item number 27, motion approving the Pitch Family Indoor Aquatic Center monthly update.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Just giving, we were to bring this in July, but due to the number of items, we moved it to this. So we have a memo, has a number of things on there for you. Not going to go through everything. I'm going to turn it over to Troy from Story Construction and to Brad from RDG here in just a minute. But 2 attachments. One is a report from Story, and they'll go through that. And then the second one attachment was a change order. And there were 6 change orders since the last month. The 6 wound up being about just over or just under $5,700. They're kind of listed there. To date, we've had 42 change orders for a total of $278,000, or only 13.26% of the $2.1 million contingency that we have. And And we still have that $1 million set aside for mitigation of contamination, which we have not used at all. So just want to bring that to your attention. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Troy while I get this PowerPoint up.
All right. Thank you, Keith. Okay, we'll start off with some site overviews. We flew our drone around here recently and you can start to see that the parking area is starting to take shape. Drove by there on my way to the meeting tonight and looks different again. So they're starting to see topsoil spread around the east and north sides of the site. So there are areas that's actually starting to look finished. In the islands, it is gravel in there still. Ultimately, those will be permeable pavers that go in that, similar to what's in the west parking lot here at City Hall. One highlight and very good news. So in this photo, in the northeast part of the property is where the known existing contaminated soil is. As construction proceeded in that part of the site, we never did run across any contaminated soil. Construction stayed up above it. And that was the area of the site that I thought had the highest probability of running into something like that. So that's great news for the city of Ames and for construction as a whole. Another photo here, position west of the site. So one thing I'll point out in this photo in the upper right-hand corner, which is the southwest corner of the property, there's a lot that'll go on there in the next few months. So that's the access point for the pool construction. So concrete trucks, pump trucks, and dump trucks going through there. And then ultimately, there's one more piece of precast concrete that'll get set once the pool contractor does not need access in there anymore. And once that precast is set, that is where the slide will go. And then last but not least, there will be a bioretention in that southwest corner as well. So that's kind of like a focal point here in the next few months as we back our way out of the site.
Troy, before you go on that, given the fact that that's a main access point, there's probably been just a little bit of compaction that's been going on that area. And if that's a bioretention area, can you comment on what kind of preparation will be done so it becomes permeable?
Yeah. So actually, there's about I think 6 to 7 foot excavation there. Okay. So that material will be dug out and hauled away.
Very good. Thank you.
So now jumping inside, since we were last here, big piece of work that's been going on in the natatorium has been the lap pool. So we'll cycle through some here. This is the deep end, which was poured many, many weeks ago. And standing back, you can start to see on the right-hand side, the deep end has been poured. The left-hand side is the shallow end, and work was ongoing there. And now this is the pool basin complete. So all of the lap pool has been placed and backfilled with rock as of last Friday. So there's another view of that pool. And then on the right-hand side, you'll start to see floor drain work. So getting ready for a pool deck. So plumbing contractor has been getting ready to set floor drains in part of this area. And then this week, the rec pool started. So excavators back inside again and digging the last pool out and hauling dirt out. Now we'll go over into the support areas of the building. And this is a typical picture of one of the locker rooms. So you can see utilities are roughed into the walls and up in the ceiling. So plumbing, mechanical, fire suppression, those sorts of things. This has changed as well since this picture is taken. So gypsum board has started to be installed in this part of the building. So it's really starting to take on a finished look here recently. Oh, also one thing I'll note, we did have the in-wall and above ceiling rough-in inspection last week and passed, and thus gypsum board could start. Yeah, yep. Keith wanted to mention, so what is that stuff in the wall, that wood-looking stuff? So that's backing. So in this instance, there's likely countertop that'll fasten to the wall there, so it gives it something sturdy to fasten to. So this is in the pool mechanical room. So mechanical wise or pool system wise, this is pretty well built out now. So pool equipment set in here, things such as filters and disinfection, pumps, heat exchangers, and other trades like HVAC, plumbing, and electrical have started to play in this room a little bit. This is up in the northeast corner of the building. So I'm sure many of you have seen as you drive by, there's aluminum that's been getting installed and glass in that aluminum. So this is curtain wall up in that part of the building. Yeah, starting to look like a finished product in parts of the building from the outside now. Milestone recently is Alliant Energy has set the natural gas meter. So that allows them to bring the gas service in from west of the property, underneath the street, and up into this spot. And sidewalks around the property have begun also. So the sidewalks get replaced on the east, north, and west sides of the property. The east side's been completed, north side's been completed, and probably about half to 3/4 of the west side's been completed. So also starting to look like finished product there. And that's what it will eventually look like as you stand over on the DOT property. That's all we have for presentation tonight, and we'd entertain any questions that you'd have for us today.
Questions?
Do we have any revision to the ribbon cutting for this?
No, we're
Yeah. So with it, so right now we're still looking at mid-January for substantial completion. At that point, we'll start getting all of our equipment in, training done, get everybody acclimated, staff acclimated with everything. Hopefully what we can do is open sometime in March is what we're looking at right now.
So ribbon cutting is not in January, but
You know, unless you guys really want to have something outside in the cold.
No,
I would think
We'll
it would be closer to like opening day.
I think some people understand what
looking at
some
March.
people understand what substantial completion is. Why don't you explain that once again? And one is that people can actually start using it. Substantial completion is what, Troy?
substantial completion is the date in which everybody thinks they're done with construction. Usually after that, then there's what would be known as punch list to clean up things that aren't done. But substantially complete is folks think that they're done with construction.
And then at that point, once we get that, it does get turned over to the city. And then we can start bringing in computers and kickboards and lifeguard chairs and all that kind of stuff, get everything set where we need to. And we'll have our emergency action plans in place, but now we need to train staff and so on. So that's why it takes time from substantial completion. That's why we're saying actually opening in March at some point. We need time to get everybody in there, get everything set, make sure everything's working the way it is. and then we'll get open. So I would say ribbon cutting probably hopefully the first part of March, if everything goes well.
Because of its prominent location in the community, there's a tremendous amount of excitement, I think, that this is generating, and seeing the glass come in has been sort of fun I've been driving around sort of seeing the development. So it's exciting.
Yeah, people are really excited. I get questions all the time, and people can't wait to have it open.
Can one of you comment just on when you anticipate seeding, sodding, landscaping going in, given the fact you still got a lot of work going on, and knowing that the planting window and seeding and sodding window seeding more than sodding, starts to close within the next 30 days or so. You want to comment on that?
Yeah. So that's been definitely a big topic of discussion amongst the construction team here in the last few months. So plantings will be kind of a phased approach. And so we'll have stuff going in September this year. That's been I would say something that we've been driving towards. We know that window is here, and the site work is important. We have to get this site work done. So here in September, a lot of this stuff will take place, particularly on the southeast and north sides of the site. Now, as work backs its way out that southwest corner of the site, that bioretention, so we actually have a follow-up meeting on that here in the next few days to talk through that planting in there, and does any of that need to be altered, or any of those plugs need to be held over winter, or that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead.
Can I just add in regards to the seeding? So a lot of this work is being done by the contractors, but when we were going through design, one of the things that we determined is we have a lot of confidence in Pat Wienia, who is our turf maintenance supervisor. So we are actually, and he coordinated the replanting out here at City Hall. So we have a lot of confidence in his ability. So actually all of the turf seeding is actually going to be done by him. So it's just something that we felt that with some other projects, we haven't had, great success, for some of the contractors. We know what we have with Pat. So just wanted to let the council know that. So he'll be coming in, hopefully within this next 30 days, getting seed down, and then we'll hydromulch it, and should be looking good.
I know I'm beating a dead horse a little bit. I know that you had a really tight site and you got a lot of equipment going on the perimeter. So just know from experience that sometimes enough over excavation doesn't occur. So plants just die because they get stuck in basically compacted soil. So I presume that's going to be all taken care of in terms of ripping that up. So we don't have to do a bunch of replacement, and having an issue with the city.
Yep, certainly. That's a great point. And the way we're approaching it, we don't think that'll be an issue.
Yeah. It's just you're to be commended. That was a tight site to work on, and you got a lot of stuff that got done and only had a street closure for a short period of time. So
it is.
And I would also add is so Joshua Thompson, our Parks and Facilities Superintendent, we've been out to the site, and there have been some things like that, and there were a lot of rock, there was concrete, there were different things, and we said, hey, all that needs to go. You got to take it out. We'll say it looks good. Then you can start bringing in all of the topsoil and everything. So yeah, we've been kind of holding their feet to the fire on some of this because we want it to look great when it's all done.
Yeah, my question wasn't saying you weren't going to do a good job. I just recognized it was a very tight site for you to work on, and you really had to stick a lot of equipment in small areas. Last question is, council approved quality control inspections. Can you just comment on how that's gone and not trying to look for issues, but have they proven their mettle, and what kind of things you may just share in brief what they found and how that's gone?
Yeah, so my summary statement would be, I think it's money well spent, and I would recommend it to other owners in the future of building projects. it helps in that you've got a third party coming in that they are really attuned to building envelope, and they
Building envelope
understand.
means what? I don't know what that means. but
Yep. Sorry. So it's the outside shell of the building. So what you could see in this photo, it's the walls and the roof.
And the windows and doors. Yep.
Yep. Everything to keep the water out. And so that third party would come in before installations would start, would sit down with ourselves as a construction manager, representatives from the design team, and then representatives from the installing contractor, and really talk through, okay, here's what you're getting ready to do. Let's make sure you understand it. Let's look for any outstanding issues. If there are any outstanding issues, let's address them before the installation begins. And then that third party will watch what we would call a first work inspection. So as the work begins, they're there to see that it's getting off in the right method or right manner. And then they'll have some periodic inspections as the work is ongoing. So a lot of that's in the rearview mirror, but not all of it. So with the curtain wall going in, there's some leakage tests coming up to test 2 areas of that to make sure that's leak free. So there's a lot done, but not all done yet.
And I would just add that a pool building or an indoor pool it's critical that is done correctly, because otherwise we'll be paying for it long term in terms of headaches and leaks or supposed leaks long term. So, all right. Any other questions? Well, thanks for delaying or postponing for a month. We'll look forward to getting back on cycle and having the ribbon cutting in January. Is that what you said, Keith? Oh, wait.
Maybe March. Maybe March.
Sometime in March. We'll look forward to it. All right. Thank you. Thanks all 3 of you for coming up. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I need a motion to approve the Fitch Family Indoor Aquatic Center monthly update.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, move on. Item number 28, hearing on rezoning property at 3220 Cameron School Road.
All right. Thank you very much. So the request this evening for rezoning here that you see at 3220 Cameron School Road is from Friedrich Land Development Company. They're requesting to rezone the land indicated here in green from its current agricultural zoning to commercial zoning in the north quarter, CGS, and in the south 3/4, FSRM. And those 2 zoning designations will be separated by a future street extension that will be constructed here along this red line between the future Everest extension, between Everest and GW Carver. So the site right now is just over 21 acres. It's currently undeveloped. It is just to the east, I'll pan back up here, of the bluffs at Dankbar Farms, which is currently being developed with single-family residential here to the west. And then there's some rural development in Story County to the north, and then the Golf and Country Club is right up there to the northeast. So the commercial zoned area to the north, which will be right up against the intersection of GW and Cameron School, will be 6.79 acres in total. And the FSRM zone portion here to the south that you can see shaded in purple will be 14.23 acres. The goal of the developer, as we've been told at this point, is the commercial will be zoned or will be developed with a future convenience store, as well as a couple of other small small scale commercial uses, and the FSRM area to the south, the residential, will be developed with a senior living and memory care use. This does require a master plan as a result. And so, of course, we'll be finalizing the master plan here with the developer after tonight's meeting. The conditions that we have on the master plan, we do talk about there in the addendum in the report. Those include the building orientation of the convenience store, interconnectivity, which is required in the CGS zoning, driveway access point there to the north onto Cameron School, some landscaping elements, and then also some density range for the senior living use there to the south. The current, the Ames 2040 plan has the site split between land uses. There, as you see it, on either side of that red line to the north is the neighborhood core, which is a neighborhood scale commercial designation. So that supports the CGS zoning request. And then to the south is RN3, which supports that medium scale residential. And so with that, I think that gives an overview of the general rezoning requests and kind of the lay of the land. I'm going to turn it over to Kelly, and he's going to talk about some fire coverage issues more.
So I think uniquely, obviously, in this report, we're talking about assisted living use, which we haven't dealt with very much as the city. And I wanted to kind of to bring us back to where we were on Plan 2040 with the growth areas. And the reason we're talking about assisted living is that as we were growing in our scenario analysis steps, so before adoption of Plan 2040, we talked about growing north, south, east, and west, and laid out a lot of issues related to each one of those. And one of the issues that comes up as we grow, especially as we go, especially to the further north, was the issue of services as we expand and fire coverage specifically. And we discussed that during the review of the scenarios. And ultimately, City Council, I believe, understood that, and we selected preferred areas for growth. This corner was included in the growth plan at that point. It was in the process of annexation, I think. I think they had applied for annexation. I don't think we had completed it yet. So it was included in the plan. And we knew that as we grow, a fourth fire station to serve the north area would eventually be needed. And why we're bringing this up now is the approval process for this use is unique. Assisted living, as we've discussed in the report, has some unique demands on emergency services, especially for fire response. And eventually a special use permit is necessary that has to be reviewed by the Zoning Board of Adjustment. So we wanted to be very clear at the beginning of the zoning process. If there was concerns about the use and its timing in relation to the city's plans for fire station improvements, that could be on the table now. And that would assist both the applicant and city staff if this is approved on how they move forward and apply eventually for that special use permit with the Zoning Board of Adjustment. So if you have questions about our Plan 2040 process, any of that information, I'm happy to answer that.
Thank you. Questions?
So do we know what their anticipated timeline is for when they would want to break ground and complete?
The applicant has a presentation they want to explain their project to
Okay.
you, so I think they'll be able to deal with some of those details
right.
right after we're done with the staff presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
So are there any special considerations with respect to utilities that we need to take into account?
I think they've been resolved when we first did the annexation. We had some sanitary sewer capacity limitations. Our Public Works Department has worked with the engineers for the applicant and made it corresponding, basically made adjustments to reflect this use versus the original institutional church use that was assumed. So the master plan's limit on use is based on the sewer capacity limits. So the unit count is limited based on sewer capacity, and the assumption of the commercial area is also based on the sewer capacity limits.
So can I translate that a little bit? So are we needing to increase the capacity in light of the change of use?
No, they're going to live within the existing limitations of the system. So if you approve this master plan, they will be capped on development that reflects the available capacity in the sewer system, which is consistent with the original approval for the property.
What's going to be capped? Entire development?
The whole, so when we
Tank bar?
approved the bluffs at Dankbar Farms, there's a PRD, and then there was a separate piece here. All of the land was analyzed for how it connects into the sanitary sewer system, and there was a cap established for all types of uses about MGD capacity in the system. So that was then translated to each type of housing unit count, commercial area, now in this case, an assisted living facility instead of a church. So it has already been analyzed for the whole project. We believe if you approve this master plan, you're still consistent with those original assumptions. You've just changed the use mix.
And I don't mean to take too much time on this. This is sounding familiar a little bit. This is going back a couple of years when we were working on this. So does the sewer capacity create an artificial barrier to the intensification of use of this property, such that if we were to increase the sanitary sewer capacity, then that would create greater opportunities for intensification? Am I saying that correctly?
I understand what you're asking. I guess we all responded to a proposal from the developer years ago, and it was just accepted that we could serve this level of development. And we did not look, we did look at the cost of adding capacity to increase development. And at that time, the developer did not want to take on any additional costs for sewer improvements to increase the development density on the property. So then we agreed to the PRD, and we agreed to this outlot being able to be developed within those existing limits.
And so, and I spot you on that was a conversation, and how long ago was that?
I mean, it started with the annexation, so it's over 5 years ago.
Right. So my question is, if we were to provide a fresh set of lenses on this and say, if we were trying to increase the maximum utilization of this property, I guess I don't want the sanitary sewer to be the tail that wags the dog, so to speak. That if we were going to look at changing the capacity, now would be the time to look at that in this phase.
I mean, I don't know anybody's proposing to increase any density. I guess that's a question for the developer. They have not requested additional density beyond what's proposed in here. We reviewed options for increasing capacity years ago, and the costs were substantial in relation to what the developer was proposing at that time. So I think your question is probably better responded to by the applicant. I'm not familiar with any particular density increase request.
Okay, great, thanks.
Other questions?
Kelly, last time we discussed this several years ago, am I remembering correctly that we had a discussion about the neighborhood commercial or convenience general services node and how close that was to other similar nodes?
We don't have that policy anymore. So there's again, quite a long history on this property. It started under the land use policy plan, not Ames Plan 2040. At that point, there was a discussion in the old land use plan about distance and service levels for a node. So City Council amended the land use policy plan to add this commercial node.
That's what I thought.
And it's been in the plan that way since that amendment was approved, again, a long time ago.
Okay. I just wasn't sure whether I was actually remembering it correctly.
Well, then you also fielded a request from Hope Lutheran to remove it so that they could pursue a church. Now, they haven't actually applied for that after they got permission to apply for it. So it's still here, and now the applicant's trying to take advantage of the original approval.
Other questions?
Kelly, the bike trail that eventually will service this area, that will be on the, am I saying this correctly, it will be on the east side and not affecting the property under consideration tonight, is that correct?
Yeah, so the transportation plan has a shared use path on the east side of GW Carver. This property would have a standard sidewalk.
And then do we have any role in discussing the orientation of the buildings? Do you have a sense of?
Yeah, you can. So this master plan, since it's not single family in nature, the zoning code allows the council to essentially define the level of detail that you want for a commercial or multifamily site plan. So we've discussed, I think we have it proposed in the conditions, that the corner property where the convenience store is contemplated, the pump orientation will be to the south. and primarily because the access is going to be from Columbus. So they would want their customers approached from that side. So we have a couple of details about a landscape buffer and orientation for the commercial piece, but we don't have anything about orientation and the assisted living facility, because that'll have to go through a special use permit and all of its details would get reviewed by the ZBA. So if you have a concern about a layout issue, it can be added to this master plan if there's something that we haven't addressed.
And I don't have a strong preference at this point. We've had some interesting conversations through the years. If we play back the tape, like John, you actually had a lot to do with some of the thoughts on the North Walmart. You had some good considerations and some other buildings. So I don't have a strong preference in this, but I just wanted council to think about, are there things that should be on our radar about the orientation?
Are we able to ask the chief some questions? I see he's sitting up there.
Just for a
but
second, was this your first prior presentation was primarily on Ames 2040 plan and this, or do you want to broaden that to include the response?
I think the chief's here to answer questions. We were
Sure.
here to present the report as written, but obviously the chief is here and he
Chief,
can
you
answer any
wanna
questions you have.
Join us at join at the table.
Good evening.
Good evening. You have given us some very detailed numbers about typical response rates right now and the number of emergent incidents associated with similar facilities.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you have any ability to project into the future what kind of impact this facility type might have on response rates if we didn't build a fourth fire station.
Gotcha. It's hard for me to predict what's going to happen in the future for response times. I can only look back at where response times have been driven based on the occupancy type and given the location of where they want to build this location. So as I look at numbers, I look at the last couple of years for our 85 and 5 performance measure. It's not a goal of the city council. It's a performance measure that the fire department has. And so anytime anything's being evaluated for building outside of our response district, obviously we want to look at that and see what kind of impact it would have on our numbers. And so I look back to a couple of years ago, we were at 76.9% of reaching 85% of the community within that 85% goal. Last year, it dropped down to 72. We're projecting that to drop without this facility down to 68% for next year. So we're seeing a decline, and it shouldn't come as a surprise as Ames continues to grow, that we're going to have a decline in our performance measure. But for me to say that this type of facility is going to add a certain percentage to that, I don't have the ability to do that. I can just tell you from a use that they represent about 10% of our total call volume and about 20% of our medical calls. So it's, when we respond to 6,000 calls a year, 600 calls are going to facilities that of this occupancy type. So they're a heavy user of our calls, and that takes away from other calls. But yeah, I'm not able to predict how much they would use our services in the future.
But the likelihood that the impact would be mitigated if Fire Station 4 were built in the north part of the city somewhere is likely.
Correct, yes.
And do you have any sense of where we would have to put a fire station in order for it to have an impact? I mean, how far north or east or west would we have to build to mitigate what we might anticipate as high user demand?
Yeah, so part of the 2040 plan, we did some evaluation of where a fire station number 4 would, the optimal location to serve that area. Basically, if you draw a diagonal from from Grand and Bloomington down south to 24th and Stang, any area northwest of there is outside of the station number 1 response area. So working with our GIS department, we identified the ideal location would actually be at 24th and Stang. There's no property available there. So we have actually been working with a church a little further north, and we've had some conversations about taking our the opportunity to purchase some land there for a station number 4. But then we also realized that, you know, there might be an opportunity, because fire stations aren't cheap, to look at a firehouse, which might be a cheaper alternative and allow us to kind of fill a stopgap for that northwest area of Ames. And so we want to stay as far south as we can. We would like to be on George Washington Carver or Stang, but we really haven't pinpointed an exact area just because we haven't developed that far north just yet of what that would look like. But we have some ideas that we'd like to explore further with our GIS.
Thank you.
Other questions for Chief? Chief, could you just comment on what effect, like this longer response time, is there any way to estimate or quantify how that affects rest of the city or individuals, from the standpoint that we understand that, you know, a higher call volume and a longer response time may take a crew out of service for some other thing? Have you had multiple calls, for example, when you're out and have a longer response time? Are there cases where you can't get to another one as quickly, or is that pretty rare, essentially?
No, that's actually on the increase, the simultaneous calls. Last year, we were about just shy of 1,200 simultaneous calls where we had crews dispatched to one call and another call came in and we had to pull from another district, or that call had to be on hold until we could have that unit respond. So anytime you go outside of your district, that increases the likelihood of a simultaneous call coming in.
But they were still handled, though, successfully, right?
Yeah.
It just takes longer to get to them, that's all.
Yes.
And the other question is that given the fact that we have growth areas in 4 different directions, you're comfortable that if you were in the area by the Bloomington, you know, on the northwest side, you can still service if we were to grow on the east side of 35, for sake, because there's an area there that was shown as being potentially, you know, growth, as well as southeast can be taken care of by Station 3, right?
Yes.
I'm just thinking about, so you get that from Station 1, can pick that up with not a problem because you got that's on 13. Or,
Yeah, when we did the 2040 plan, as we grow east past the 35 corridor, it will have an impact on our performance. It's a performance measure, our response goals. I can't tell you exactly what those numbers are, but the real concern that we have is that northern growth right now.
okay. And these are departmental goals, or are these NFPA goals or objectives, the standards that you're talking about, response time?
Yeah, these are performance measures that our department has established. They're very similar to the NFPA goals. NFPA is actually 90th percentile, but there's some different standards involved with that.
Okay, great. Very good. And Justin, I don't think I've ever seen a septic sewer easement on. Can you explain what that is and what kind of, does that have much of an impact on the site development and where that's coming from?
So what we actually asked the developer about that, and according to their engineer, that is an old easement from, it's vacant now. Basically,
Okay.
it's no longer used. With obviously the subsequent platting of the site and everything, that'll be mitigated and taken off of there. But yeah, it's from a previous era. It was used to discharge to the southwest.
And we don't get involved with the high pressure gas main, but it kind of bisects through the property. And
Yep.
I presume that whoever that utility company is will be jealously guarding their easement situation. And
Yep.
All right. I understand. Kelly, did you say the applicant has a presentation they
Yep.
want to make? I guess it'd be appropriate at this time if they want to make their application and offer comments. If you want to, whoever wants to address council, you want to stand at the podium, that'd be great.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kurt Friedrich with the Friedrich Companies. And I don't think it's probably said often enough, but thank you for being here, council and staff. You have choices of what to do with your time, so we appreciate you making this a priority and being here tonight and helping us make important decisions. So thank you. I will keep my remarks fairly short because once again, one of our, an important party here tonight is the Dover Group, and they had come up for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting as well. And I think that's notable. We don't always get that, but I think it just shows their sincerity about wanting to be here in our community. We are lucky to have a company the caliber of Dover wanting to come to Ames and invest in Ames. They are a legacy company out of St. Louis. They have over 50 communities similar to the community that they'd like to build here at the Bluffs. The first project that they're doing in Iowa actually is underway over in North Liberty, and they're just going through their entitlements right now and should be breaking ground on that project in the spring. This location is site number 2 in Iowa, and we are delighted that they chose to be here in Ames and in our neighborhood. I will give you just a little bit of history here for those of you that don't know, not the whole history going back to when we purchased the ground. But regarding this 20 acres, maybe Justin, you could go back to that slide that shows the 20 acres in the context of the rest of the subdivision. The 20 acres was actually the first subdivision in the Bluffs. We annexed the property and then parceled that 20 acres off and sold it to Lutheran Church of Hope. Lutheran Church of Hope, as you know, has decided to go to a location in West Ames near Sunset Ridge subdivision. And we were notified of this change here about mid-year last year. And we elected to make the decision to repurchase that 20 acres. We closed on it in November, seeing a really nice opportunity. While the church, we think churches are great members of neighborhoods, but we also saw a great opportunity here to create more important commercial services and housing in our neighborhood. And you might have heard that nationally and locally, quite frankly, the real estate market is struggling a bit. Well, this, I will say, is one of the bright spots in our community. We have seen some really strong activity here over the last year. Our first plat of lots along Cartier, the 20 lots there, are now fully sold and being built upon. We also have another plat of lots up towards the north off of Erickson Avenue, which is the Damani North subdivision. And we're selling lots and seeing homes built there as well. So great energy in both of those areas. We are bringing on 35 more single family lots along Cartier now that we are sold out, and those will actually be ready here in about a month. Half of those are pre-sold to individuals and some builders. So we're seeing some great momentum. And we see this corner here as another opportunity to continue to build on that momentum. Across the street, you may have heard we just purchased the Borgmeyer property as well, the 155 acres to the east. And we're now working through the concept plan for that property with staff. And we're excited that we'll be able to bring probably close to 600 more housing units there within the Borgmeyer farm, which we're calling the Greenbrier. And to the point of emergency services, we have started having discussion with staff about that need and understand that. We're not diminishing that. We believe that perhaps within the Greenbrier project, there may be a site there that could be used for a firehouse. And we're having discussion about that and would certainly make that available in addition to, of course, the other sites that may be considered, Heartland Baptist Church, et cetera. So very important that we continue this momentum. I will say senior housing has a unique way of stimulating the housing economy. And what I'm talking about is the churn effect that happens when senior housing is created in our community. And I've seen it numerous times, whether that be with the Village Cooperative, the Vintage Cooperative, Northridge Village, the addition recently at Green Hills and Northcrest. Every time, without exception, what that does when these new senior housing developments are created is it opens up existing housing stock. And we desperately need more of those existing homes for people who would want to live in our community. So churn is really important and a real effect. And then the variety too that we get when we see senior housing development, in addition to the association homes like we have at Damani North, and then the traditional single family. And then Tim, you had mentioned, do we have enough capacity for sewer to do what we want to do? Well, yes, we do have enough capacity. And the FSRM piece that you see on the map there, we're anticipating approximately 80 to 100 additional townhome units that we would be able to construct there for the market across a variety of price ranges. And that is all accounted for within the sewer calcs that we currently have. So it's a great opportunity to continue some exciting momentum tonight. And we hope that you'll agree with the Planning and Zoning Commission, who approved our proposal here a few weeks ago. Thank you.
Is there something else presentation-wise, or that's it?
Thank you, Kelly and Kurt. My name is Patrick Antone. I'm with Dover Companies, or Dover Development. Here you'll see is the 87 unit assisted living and memory care community that we have planned. It's Cedarhurst of Ames. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So Kurt stole a little bit of my thunder, so I'll try and keep this a little brief, but we're based out of St. Louis. We have over about 4,200 units across our portfolio, over 50 plus communities in the Midwest and Southeast. Second planned project in Iowa here. And so Dover Companies is a vertically integrated company. So our construction is in-house, development's in-house, and then our best-in-class management team is in-house along with a pharmacy company. Below here, you'll see some of the senior housing demand numbers from one of our third-party resources. So the 75 plus population is expected to grow 20% over the next 5 years. And then the current existing inventory is the average age is 2008. And then here you'll see the demand numbers, which are pretty staggering. These are the current demand numbers. So over 120 unmet demand assisted living units, and then over 130 plus memory care unmet demand units. And so here's bottom left, you'll see our project schedule here. So groundbreaking, we're expecting or hoping to break ground in spring of 2026. with construction completing in fall of 2027. That's normally anywhere from I'd say an 18 to 24 month construction period, and then fully leasing and operational by spring of 2029. So as I mentioned, those unmet demand numbers, those were current, and we won't be opening here until a fall of 27, and again, 18 months to be fully operational. Total project cost is about 31 million, all in. And then about 50 quality jobs here with a payroll exceeding over 2 million. Construction is estimated at about 16 million with over 180 construction jobs over that 18 to 24 month window. And then here you'll see some of the pictures from one of this exact prototype. We actually built this one in Wichita. So these photos, I think that opened maybe last year. So these photos are exactly kind of what we have planned here. Restaurant style dining, activity rooms, social events, wellness activity centers, etc. Location, I think we all kind of know where we're talking about there on the northwest side of town. Then fire and safety. So as Rich mentioned, this is about 7 minutes from the fire station, 5 minutes from the Gilbert Franklin Fire Station. We did talk to our operations team, and so this drive time has never been a concern. We have licensed on-staff medical professionals here to kind of serve those seniors. I'd say about a quarter of our portfolio is over that 7 minute drive. And then we also spoke with Dieter Fritten with MGMC, and he did not seem to have any concerns about the location or response times for EMS. Again, just want to hit home. So we'd be fully leased and operational by spring of 2029. So almost 4 years from now. Again, the average senior housing community in town right now is by that time 20 plus years old. The senior demographic is aging at the highest rate in history. And then here's some stats in terms of the senior housing population, how that's growing from the Story County Housing Study. And then one other thing, just want to hit home here. So senior living gets kind of all lumped together. Skilled nursing and kind of end of life care usually require a lot more emergency calls. We feel that in assisted living and memory care, a lot of those calls can be mitigated by our staff. Again, these are trained medical professionals here to, if somebody falls in their house, we're hoping our staff can help them out, get them the help they need instead of calling 911 and hopefully, mitigating those calls as much as possible. That's it from my end. Happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'm curious, in other locations, has Dover had any challenges finding the medical personnel to serve the communities you've built?
No, I wouldn't say so. So we'll have our operations team probably get out in the community 9 to 6 months prior to opening. And we've got a dedicated corporate team in St. Louis that will start the hiring process. We've got a pretty deep HR team back in St. Louis. They'll hire some boots on the ground. Typically, they come from some of the older facilities in town, maybe folks who have been in the industry, know the community, maybe are looking for a change of scenery, or maybe are a little underpaid. And we're happy to have those folks in their local knowledge, and we're typically pretty good at getting a fully team built out in a short period of time.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other questions for staff? All right, well, open up public comment. Is anyone, actually, we'll declare a public hearing on this item to be open. Is there anyone who wants to address council on this topic tonight? Seeing and hearing none, we'll declare the public hearing to be closed. Questions, comments, feedback?
Well, I just wanted to second what Kurt said in thanking you guys for coming to present to us. And that is, it's nice to have the applicants here and presenting. So thanks for making the trip twice even.
And I would second what Kurt's comment about the churn effect. But I would add to another component of this. In the work that I do, I have a lot of clients who find it very desirable to find housing for a loved one in this season of life, and it's hard right now. So I definitely think there's a need. My only concern, and it's nothing to do with the proposal, our labor supply is really, really tight. And so you might be able to pull people from other facilities. That's going to create gaps in their lineups. And it's just a really tight labor market right now. In talking with providers, I hear consistently the challenges they have with labor. And we don't have housing, enough housing for people who are working in these kind of facilities. So this is something that as a council, we need to try to improve the scope and the variety of our housing options in the community. But this is definitely a need, and it looks like a great project. And I would echo Bronwyn's comment. It sounds like a great thing, and thanks for coming tonight.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll move alternative 1.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I do have some concerns about the response times for fire and emergency services. I do think it sounds like a project that is suited to Ames, especially given our growing older population. I hope that if we approve this, that staff will continue to be talking to Kurt and his team about how we might be able to locate a firehouse in one of the developments nearby, because I think if we do approve it, we need to move swiftly to provide that kind of service to the northern part of the community, because there will be a gap in service, whether we believe there will be a lot of skilled nursing or not. There's still going to be a need up north.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. It just kind of keeps that conversation in our focus. But I don't think it, I wouldn't say I'm in favor of this project. And then we just keep that conversation going about the eventual need for a 4th fire station. So.
Roll call.
Aye.
Barton.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Beatty Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
All right. Thank you for coming. Move on to number 29, hearing on granting gas pipeline easement on City of Ames property at 601 South Maple Avenue.
I have no presentation tonight, but here to answer any questions you might have on the proposed action in front of you.
Questions for Justin? I don't have a question, but I never thought about the fact that a gas line might be attached to a bridge or a walkway. So does that happen very often?
Not usually with gas. I think the age of it was the easiest path for them to do it back in the 50s when it was put in. So we do see a lot more underground, like it's going to be proposed in this easement now. So we don't have a lot of them on bridge infrastructure that I'm aware of outside of this one.
Probably a good thing not to publicize, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, I declare the public hearing on this item to be open. Is there anyone who wants to address council on granting gas pipeline easement? Hearing and seeing none, declare the public hearing to be closed. Entertain motion on resolution approving easement, creating legal access for Line Energy to construct and maintain a proposed gas line.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Barton.
Aye.
Batcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, Justin. Keep on item number 30, a hearing on text amendment to Chapter 23 Conservation Subdivision Ordinance. Mark?
Good evening. This is kind of a sort of rare and unusual just thing that happened, a human error, and which, we're all human, we all make mistakes, but what happened was with this conservation ordinance, the correct ordinance was provided in the council packet for the first reading. In the second and third reading, a prior version was provided, and that was adopted on the second and third reading, and that was provided to the mayor for his signature. And so, I was asked, like, how do we fix this? And I've looked at it and thought of various ways, but it seemed the easiest is to simply repeal the incorrect ordinance and then pass the correct ordinance that should have been passed in the first place. So we have an ordinance, you have an ordinance in front of you that does both of those things, repeals the prior ordinance and then replaces it with the ordinance that should have been passed. In prior times, before we had the peak system that we all use now, the council was not even provided a copy of the ordinance on second and third reading.
Right.
And so that's a new thing since we've gone to the peak system that it's put in there. And so, the prior version got provided to the council. So I think this is really, it's just a kind of a fluke, and it's just an easy way to fix it is just to repass the ordinance and repeal the prior ordinance, which is all contained in the one ordinance.
Any questions?
Mark, I understand human error. I'm guilty of that many times myself. But I'm wondering, is your team working with the clerk's office to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Yes, and we've had conversations, and it's kind of an unusual situation because typically the clerk's office would only have one version. And in this case, we work with the department to draft the ordinance, and then once we get final approval from the department, we provide the clerk's office with that ordinance. And that happened in this case, and then the department said, oh, sorry, we want to make a few more changes to it. So they did, and which happens, and so we then came up with a new version, sent it to the clerk's office, said, discard the prior version, use this version instead, which happened. Unfortunately, that prior version was still on a computer somewhere, and so it got uploaded on the second and third readings. So I think it's extremely unlikely that this would happen again. And we're all kind of on guard about it now. So
is that no, we haven't looked at doing something different in our procedure?
Well,
I mean, it sounds like
yeah.
you're trusting the procedure you've already got, and yet we've had a failure.
It's just that, I mean, if there's ever a situation where we provide a copy of the ordinance to the clerk's office, and then we are going to, some changes are made and we provide a new version to them, I can assure you that we're going to be on guard and checking on, when the second and third readings are on, and I know the clerk's office is too, to make sure that happens. But that almost never happens. I mean, it's extremely rare that this would happen. It happened this time, but it's just, I don't think, likely to repeat itself.
Gloria, I think your point is well taken. I think let's proceed with we'll do the hearing on the ordinance, and I would like to recommend the council considering a motion. We can talk about that relative to your point. So, any other questions for Mark?
And I would just point out, I don't remember this ever happening before, so
No.
this is a one-off.
Yeah.
And stuff happens. We have so much stuff crosses the desk. So I think the track record is phenomenal.
All right, declare a public hearing on the text amendment to Chapter 23 Conservation Subdivision Ordinance to be open. Does anyone want to address council on this? Declare the public hearing to be closed. Entertain motion on first reading of ordinance.
Move on first?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
And staff has asked for consideration for council to suspend the rules and allow for second and third reading and adoption of ordinance number 4568. Is there a motion?
Move we suspend the rules?
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Entertain motion on second reading of ordinance number 4568.
Move on second.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
And entertain motion on third reading and adoption of ordinance number 4568.
Move on third.
Second.
Roll call.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Corey, to your point, and I understand it's a rare occasion, but I think it'd be appropriate for council to make a motion that directing the city attorney and the city clerk to create policies, process, and procedures to avoid this from reoccurring in the future. I understand that it was a fluke. But I do think that we can always learn from things that come up. And so it's my recommendation that council would make that motion so there's a specific direction from council to both the city attorney and the city clerk to undertake that policy, and whatever checklists or whatever they want to do, we're not going to determine that from the dais, but thankfully it was caught by planning. But I'm just thinking from in my prior life as design professional, if I was working through and using an ordinance and designing things, something else came up and then got approval and all of a sudden found out that that was a wrong ordinance, that would cost me an awful lot of money, an awful lot of headache, and clients potentially a lot of headache too. So I think it's just important that for good customer service, Mark, I get it. It happens once in a while, and this is not a beating, but it's more or less just, okay, let's learn from it and move on. So is there an interest in that kind of motion?
Yeah, I would move that we ask the city attorney and the city clerk to talk about how they might improve the process so that this doesn't happen again.
And would that include creating policies?
Yes, anything that the mayor said in his suggestion would be part of that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So I'm going to resist this. The city attorney has already explained the steps that they've taken. If this was a repeated situation, then maybe we take a different posture. But he's already explained that they've worked to try to resolve this. We have this peak system. I only want to do things that really matter and not virtue signal that there's some kind of broader problem than what there actually is. So I think we just let it go.
It's not virtue signaling, Tim. It's trying to work out how we might improve a process that is relatively new given the new system. And I think that the fact that we are now taking this up again makes it something more than just an error. As the mayor said, it could impact other people who are trying to use the ordinance. And I don't think it's too much to ask for them to have a conversation about what the process is. I mean, if it means something like, putting draft as a watermark on draft ordinances, so when someone opens it up, they can see that that's the draft, not the final version for approval. I mean, they're simple things, and I don't mean it to bust the chops of the attorney and the city clerk. I think these things happen, but I'd like to see us trying to ensure they don't happen again.
It just feels a little micromanagey to me.
Those made the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion failed. All right, move on to item 31. Entertain motion on second reading of ordinance on zoning text amendment to amend the PUD overlay open space standard for infill sites. Is there a motion?
Move on second.
Is there a second?
Oh,
Second.
I'm sorry. Isn't that right? We're on 31?
Yep,
Yeah.
31.
Okay,
Yep.
yes.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Corriere.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Entertain motion on second reading of ordinance rezoning property located at 2715 Dayton Avenue from agricultural A to government airport district SGA.
Move on second.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Entertain motion on second reading of ordinance for 400 South 4th Street PUD overlay with site development plan.
Move on.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Betcher.
Aye.
Edie Hansen.
Aye.
Rollins.
Aye.
Corriere.
Aye.
Garten.
Aye.
Report of governing body. Discover Ames. Any report tonight?
No report.
Ames Regional Economic Alliance.
Yeah, we had our meeting, was it last Friday?
Mhm.
And there were two good presentations. One about the new, what do they call it, BioMade facility that got announced. It's a Department of Defense contract, but it's meant to encourage the production of biochemicals. And so it's a plant that specializes in fermentation to help create the components they need for biochemicals. So I think was really exciting for Iowa State and the Ames area and just sort of biomanufacturing in the area. So that was cool. And then there was a neat presentation as well about the renovations of the Ingersoll Theater by VenueWorks and the partners from Des Moines who are renovating that. And that sounds like that'll be really nice when that's done too. So
Yeah, and their emphasis was on using historic tax credits and doing a historically sensitive restoration of the theater. So it was a good example of how to leverage tax credits in projects.
All right. No report from Story County Emergency Management. Anything from transit?
We meet on Thursday.
Thank you. Disposition and Communications Council, we have two. One from Dylan Klein regarding development opportunity at 13th Street and Interstate 35. And Steve, is my understanding this is already underway. Is that correct?
Right, I've referred to city council before.
So
could we just move for an update from the city manager's office on where we're at? I will move for an update from the city manager's office on the progress being made on this.
Second.
Okay. What's confusing to me is that this seems to give an impression that there's no communication with staff regarding, this having been a phone call to Steve would have taken care of, understand this is underway, but the motion will stand. So anyway, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. And then secondly, we have a, from Damien, response to game day parking by Stuart Smith Park referral. Would there be any interest in surveying the neighbors, all the neighbors, to see if there's, well, actually, Steve, you had a suggestion. You want to mention that
Well, I
on
think
how to
that-
approach this?
Yeah, I think we have a number of code requirements that are in the code itself that help us with enforcement in the area. But as you know, it's a very busy day during the actual football game weekends. So we'll attempt to increase parking enforcement. Also prohibiting alcohol consumption on our park. We can do that. We can work on that. Again, those Saturdays are very busy for us. But I think what we really need to do, when I read the letter over again, there's a concern by the person who wrote the letter about people coming in and parking on maybe on Wednesday and Thursday and staying there, leaving their vehicles there and get ready for the football game. So I think what we should do as a next step is maybe survey the residents and see what kind of changes they like to see, if any, in parking. And the easy way to do it is not prohibit parking all the time, but maybe on game days on that southern part of the street where they tend to park. We can handle the 40-hour parking, but as you know, it's very difficult to enforce because all you have to do is move it and we'll move it a little bit and the clock stops over. So I think if we really want to help them, I think it has to do with parking. Whether they want to go as far as prohibiting parking on both sides of the street there during football games, we'll have to get that input from them. So there is some we can do enforcement, but I can't tell you it's going to be perfect. I think we're going to need some changes in parking regulations.
Justin?
Yeah, I think maybe just to add a little more context, I talked to Keith Abraham tonight as he was walking out. He did talk to the individual that had emailed him and wrote council and let him know that the information that went to council, he's very happy with, and these steps that we're going to take. So we could look at this as an interim step to see, let's use this, let's kind of gauge what happens. And if we don't see improvement in behavior, I think what Stephen mentioned, maybe polling the neighborhood would be a great next step. So we don't necessarily need direction tonight from you, but it's something, if you would like to give direction, we can take that. But I think the neighbors seem to be very pleased with the steps that we're proposing right now.
So would there be any kind of a follow-up from staff and just saying, here's what we're seeing? I mean, just as a progress report, mid-season or something?
Well, I think we have to follow up with the neighbors and see how, if they're satisfied with what happened. Again,
I think
that's
that
what
would,
I mean,
I think that'd be important to understand from their perspective, because our perspective might be different than theirs, certainly, but we could certainly do that later on in the
I'm
season.
just trying to warn you, I think it's difficult to enforce these with the tools we're given. I'm not sure we'll satisfy them, but we can try and see how it works out. And if not, we can take the next step.
Is council okay with the proposed approach? Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Council comments. Emily, welcome back.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Tomorrow, we have our first Student Government Senate meeting of the session. We will be approving the FY 2026-27 asset priorities. So I can talk more about that later once it's approved. And then the joint meeting again is on October 22nd in the MU sunroom. And we'll also have more on that later. And then I just want to say welcome back to all of my fellow Cyclones. I'm excited to be back in Ames and visiting my favorite places around here. So let's make it a great year. Thanks.
Which includes City Hall, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're glad you're back, and all the students too. Thank you. Tim?
Yeah, I don't know how I cannot make some kind of comment on what a great first game for Iowa State in Dublin, and an amazing platform that these folks had an opportunity to be ambassadors for our community on a great stage. So great game, and congratulations, and we're looking forward to the season, and welcome back, students.
Amber?
Nothing for me.
Just welcome back students also, and we're looking forward to being there for Welcome Fest on Wednesday night.
Colin?
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Welcome back to the students, and I'll echo what Anita said about Welcome Fest tomorrow night. I just want council to know about an ongoing situation that is occurring on one of our bicycle trails or shared use paths that runs down, I don't even know how to describe it. It's the one that runs down to State from Dotson.
Yeah.
Right? You know which trail I mean, right? I don't know that there's a name for it. But we have had delivery vehicles on that trail. We have had now recently motorcycles making beer runs up to Hy-Vee on that trail. And I appreciate what Public Works is doing on this, but I just want council to be aware that not all of the trails are working out the way we maybe expect them to the benefit of our walking and bicycling populations. And Justin, could you give us an update on what Public Works is doing?
Yeah, this trail is, it runs parallel to Tripp Street from Daly Park, excuse me, not Daly Park, Franklin Park over towards Wilmouth. And it's unique in a number of different ways. One is that there is an alley that dead ends and abuts it on the east end. So when we initially put the trail in, we had some signage, which would be standard for what we do for most of our shared use path, and no motorized vehicles are allowed. And we heard from a resident right away that there was some vehicular traffic on there. We installed what I would call a temporary bollard in the middle of it, so a plastic post in the middle of it, and that was driven over as well. What's in place now, and I believe it's been the past 3 weeks or so, we have a steel bollard that's probably about 4 to 6 inches in diameter and about 42 inches tall. It has retroreflective tape on it. It's very much more robust. I believe from a vehicular standpoint, it's going to be pretty difficult to get around that without major damage to the vehicle itself. Motorcycles are a different challenge. Obviously, they can drive around that bollard, and so it's difficult for us to maybe get it to the point where it's accessible to users of bicycles and pedestrians, but not something the size of a motorcycle. We've signed it appropriately. What I feel, we have no vehicular traffic signs on it as well, which is a little bit more than we see in other places. So we are taking steps. We are aware of it, and we're trying to keep an eye on it. This one, like I say, it's a little bit more unique as it's kind of an infill trail that goes behind some houses, and from one end does look like an extension of the alley. But we think we've got a good mix right now, something we're going to continue to monitor. But your point's well taken, Gloria, that there's it didn't work out the way we thought at the beginning, but I think we made some changes to maybe help with some of that.
Thanks, Justin.
Anything else?
No.
All right. Just remind everybody that this Thursday at 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock is City Hall's 35th birthday. It's kind of an open house. So everyone's invited to attend, and it's come and go as you want. So hard to believe you've been here for 35 years. With that, entertain motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.